This episode of Legendary is brought to you by Titanfall. For 20% off your pre-order, just go to offergb.com/Titanfall.
Game Breaker TV.
What's up, everybody? It's Thursday night. I'm blowing out the co-host tears. What's up, everybody? It's episode 160 of Legendary for February 13th, 2014. Livia Grace, can you hear me?
What? I can't hear anything. All I can hear is this terrible ringing noise. I turned you down, man. I turned you down.
Turned you down, man. What's up? It's Thursday night. Hello, hello.
I'm good. How are you? How's it going?
Ah, fantastic. Ready to talk some Legendary.
Like the specs, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got fitted over the holiday break. I'm officially blind and old, so gotta wear glasses. What are you gonna do? And joining us from Convert to Raid, it's Mr. Pat Crane. How are you, sir?
Your screaming made me really screw up my Flappy Bird. So
put that bitch on eBay. You should sell that. Sell your iPhone.
Are they not pulling those auctions? I heard they were pulling those auctions. Yeah, I don't know why, but I heard they were pulling the auctions off eBay.
I'm not sure why. I want to look into that.
Nevertheless, my game was ruined, and I blame Gary.
Sorry.
So there.
Sorry.
It's all right, buddy.
I'm really intrigued by the whole Flappy Bird story. I keep looking into it. There's some dark secrets going on with that story.
Dark flappy secrets.
Dark flappy secrets.
Nice.
Oh
Nice.
my God, what are we talking about? I didn't even say that. I just started talking already.
I don't know.
We're gonna talk about some stuff.
Let's do that.
Blew the intro. First up this week, though. Hey, remember a couple weeks back? Was it 2-3 weeks ago? We talked about the Blizzard stream. It was the Stream Awards, right? That's what they called it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Blizzard. Wait, I thought I had a link here. No, that's Artcraft. I don't want that. I don't want a link. But we won. We took the bronze. So the Blizzard put up like 40 grand in prizes for a bunch of different awards that the community voted on, like best streamer, like all different categories. And Game Breaker TV was in there, Legendary, along with the Convert to Raid podcast. It's funny how we were just treated as one.
It's cool though. It's awesome. Cool. It's
community
a little bit
channels.
of show camaraderie, and it's all on the same channel now. So it's all good.
Well, let's be honest. We wouldn't have won if we didn't have Convert to Raid on our team. So I mean, it's pretty much where we lucked out.
That Coltrane, he is pretty amazing.
He did. It's the power of the asparagus. Yeah, but we won. We won 3rd place.
Which is awesome. Thank you so much for the votes.
Exactly.
It's really cool. Thank you.
Screw the votes. Really Where's my money, Blizzard? Where? What? What's up? Where's my check?
Right. What was it, like $100?
I think it was 3.
Something like that. $300?
It's $300.
Convert to Raid gets half that, right? I'm just looking out for the show budget here.
I'm thinking of what we should do with it. We actually should talk about what we should do with it. I figure we should take the 300 and maybe make shirts. Should we make like Game Breaker shirts?
Maybe. Or we could do we could save it up for the next BlizzCon.
That was the second thing. It was either like we make something like shirts or something, or we save it up and then I don't know what we're gonna buy at BlizzCon with $300. A couple shots, but
a couple of shots. We'll buy Mets and some drinks. That's about it.
He'll be working on Twisted Tree Line by then.
Maybe. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's really cool. It's like there was some really big names in our bracket, so really.
Who won? It was Day 9 won. Our
Day 9 won.
Yeah, of course.
Day 9 won. So
deservingly so. The guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Guy does the Blizzard thing hardcore.
Yeah, for sure. Like the amount of stuff that he does for StarCraft particularly is insane. Like he does so much streaming. So
The really cool thing were all the comments that I saw on the poll on the forum poll section that they had under the community channel. So all of this stuff, it was all so very positive. It was really great to see everybody's support of Gamebreaker and of Convert to Raid and of everybody else actually on the channel in that bracket as well. It's just really nice to see everybody, all the support for all the community stuff that's going on, and it's heartwarming. It hits you right in the feels.
It does.
Right in the feels.
Right in the feels, man.
Yeah.
I actually got. Speaking of shirts, here. This is. I shouldn't show this. I shouldn't show this off. I always do this.
What are you going to show off? You always do this early, and then what happens?
I know, because I wasn't thinking about it, and then I just blurted out shirts and well, no. See, I shouldn't have done that. Oh my God, we're crashing. We're crashing. I shouldn't have done it.
Oh no.
This is what happens.
Oh my God, this is what happens. We can't have nice things. Oh my God, I got to fix the stream.
At least we all look fairly happy.
All right, so we got lots of news to talk about this week. Let's get right to it.
Seamless.
Seamless. We had no technical problems whatsoever, people. Zero.
No.
So here we go. But there actually is. There's a lot to get through. So let's get started.
There is a lot to get through.
New Artcraft blog went up.
Yeah.
Artcraft, you guys can check it out. Little thing Blizzard's doing over here, the Artcraft section. This time it's all about Garrisons, which everybody's excited and waiting for. There's some great new images, some different stages of buildings, things like that, as well as little chit chat from lead content designer Corey Stockton. He talked about how they wanted to show faction pride for the Garrisons, similar to what you get when you're walking into your faction capital. But they really also want to make all these buildings upgradable, and they want them to fit into one size, like a base of one size. So what did you guys think? What did you guys think of these images? I mean, do the rooms give you the feeling of faction pride?
Yeah, I think so. It's sort of. I mean, I whilst I'm playing a ton of Horde at the minute, I still definitely identify as an Alliance player. I started on Alliance. I've been Alliance. I still have way more Alliance characters than I do Horde. And it's definitely it's just sort of you feel it feels good. Particularly the I can't remember where it is. I think it's slightly further up the page from where you are right now, Gary. There's a mage tower and the library. That library that just looks so cool. And it sort of reminds me of the towers in Dalaran and all the sort of little blue buildings that really make you feel like you're in Stormwind or something like that. I think it looks great. I'm really excited for it. And the upgrades they're awesome as well. The way they've done the whole thing about fitting it into a base, they've got to make these buildings bigger and more elaborate and cooler, but they've only got a plot of one given size, so they can't make them spread out or anything like that. So it's sort of I know I'm really excited about that art style.
And Gary, on the article there, you can actually click into those pictures as well. On any of those pictures, you can click into them, and then it gets a little bit bigger. So you can kind of understand the scope of all this stuff, right? Because they're not just talking about little buildings; they're talking about full props and trying to make sure that these things feel like they're lived in. And so it's really cool because it feels very familiar. Especially, they showed the Alliance stuff. Here they also have one Horde picture as well.
Yeah, right at the bottom there's one Horde one.
But the Alliance stuff feels really cool and very much Alliance and very strong. But it's really nice to see some new art that is very familiar, but looks completely fresh.
Do you guys like the fact that they went for sort of the old school look here?
Yeah. The Elven Forest, it's just because that's I don't know. I first started Alliance. I don't know what you started with, Pat, but I started with a human. I think I don't know. I'd hazard a guess that a good number of people did. I wouldn't like to say that everybody did, but I think everyone remembers running into Stormwind for the first time and going through Elven Forest and those buildings are that's obviously if you do play Horde and you're not aware, Elven Forest is where Stormwind is. it's the Alliance capital, and you just
If
have
they're-
like
if
gold
they're
share
deeply
and their
Horde-
little buildings.
If they're deeply Horde, they know exactly where Stormwind
They
is
ought
because they've
to.
rated it. Right?
They ought to. But yeah, it's just like that's sort of the initial Alliance experience for me, and it really takes me back to like the early days when I first started playing and being like, oh my god, look at all these cool buildings.
I think you're right. That's
Yeah.
really what I think most people associate with World of Warcraft. If you were to think of anything like these nail it. I mean, this Horde one here, like that is what you would.
It's very Orgrimmar-y, isn't it? Like
Yes.
there's a real Orgrimmar feel to that. It's
Yep.
definitely.
Which
But
is
you
what you
couldn't get it.
associate with if you're on the Horde side. That's it.
And
I
it's-
mean, they really nailed it.
And it's been a while since I've played Horde, and I kind of miss playing Horde right now.
Aw.
Just looking at that art. But then I look at that stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's coming for me!
Yeah.
Now that I'm Alliance.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh no, I think it looks fantastic. I really
Yeah.
like. I'm excited for the imagery, definitely.
Yeah, so they're also
Looks
they're
really
working on more Horde stuff. Obviously, there's only one Horde image here. It's a preview. Everything else is Alliance. I think they both work. I mean, they both really fit the
Yeah.
style. I mean, it's, I can't wait to see some more Horde stuff.
Yeah.
The Mage
Yeah.
Tower that Corey tweeted about sounds pretty amazing, right? Portals to every city.
Yeah.
How great is that?
Yeah, exactly. So that's like the fully upgraded Mage Tower. I think there was a bunch of other tweets he made clarifying like stuff about it. Like that's exactly that image. That's exactly what you're looking at. Is like the Mage Tower with like it's the full upgraded, so 3 of 3 upgraded, and it's not just for mages. It's available to everybody. Like any you don't have to play a mage to get this.
Right.
Anyone can get this thing and upgrade it. But yeah, it sounds awesome. Like
Do you guys
that's
think
so
that-
convenient.
But do you think any of this is going to have some sort of effect on like just populations out in the world? Do you think everybody's just going to like go back and be in their garrisons in their homes, and you're just not going to see anybody out and around anymore? Especially like if you could just port everywhere with portals like this.
Yeah, it will probably affect populations a little bit anyway. Especially like, I think it'll really decentralize any type of new capital area. There's a chance of that anyway. There's a risk of that. So they need to make sure that capital cities are around so that they can provide the auction house and provide kind of like those necessary day-to-day services, I guess, to make sure that they're full all the time.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to go into a capital city and see it dead.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's the sort of the big thing that I've noticed, like going and like hang out on dead servers or like playing on lower pop servers than the ones I'm perhaps used to in the EU. Excuse me, is that like you don't notice it when you're out in the world. Like it's actually just kind of more convenient. And particularly flying around Pandaria trying to kill res or farm or whatever. When you get into the cities, when you get into Stormwind or Orgrimmar or into the shrines, you're like, oh, there's a lot fewer people here than there are in the places that I'm used to. And that's where
Right.
you really particularly notice that absence of people because you're used to there being places with real hustle and bustle and a real feeling of fullness. And to me, that's
I
way
guess-
more important for an MMO than anything.
I mean, you think they're going to really think about that and kind of build stuff into, go back and kind of make sure that there are components in Orgrimmar and the capital
Yeah.
cities that keep driving people there that are lacking from the garrisons?
Yeah, for sure. Like Pat says, the auction house is a fantastic one because everyone will use that in the cities. Even if like I can't see them putting an auction house in a garrison. Like that would just be kind of dumb because that's one thing that keeps people going back to cities. Like I honestly think that's what keeps Orgrimmar and Stormwind populated, even now when the shrines are so full of stuff. Like the fact that you need to, unless you're an engineer, you need to be going back there for the auction house. The same with Dalaran back in the day.
Yep.
There's also some discussion about how garrisons are going to like interact with people's professions and things like that as the building levels up with their professions. Whoa. What is going on?
Wrong button, Gary.
Sorry,
Wonderful
wrong button.
show so far. Lots of technical awesomeness.
I'm blaming all technical issues on PAX. PAX the Storm
PAX,
just
what's that,
breaks
PAX?
everything.
Yeah, PAX.
No, but so there's a lot of talk about having your garrisons level up with your professions. And then the other talk that's going around are people wondering, like, is this going to become sort of mandatory content for raiders then at that point for leveling and stuff?
That's always the concern when anything pops up. Is this going to become mandatory for raiders? And I hope that it isn't. I mean, I really do, because I don't think that rating should be based on what your professions are. I don't think that your awesomeness shouldn't depend on, you shouldn't have to have blacksmithing to be a raider.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to be. You should be able to pick whatever damn profession you want, any two, and be just as viable as anybody else. That's kind of the way that it should be.
Sure.
I guess we'll see what happens when they finally release this stuff.
I think a big deal is going to be like I don't know, because we're beginning now to understand how the professions are going to tie into buildings. Like it's not just going to be a case of like, oh, you have dudes and they have building. Like there's going to be a sort of link there. And I don't know, we don't know yet. Like I seem to recall at BlizzCon they said that they would not be able to do them account wide. And I'm I really hope that changes. I don't want to do. I've got lots of level 90s, and I don't want to do that many level 90s times by one garrison. So, like, I'm kind of thinking that if they manage to, I don't know whether they can rework them or they're looking at account-wide or anything like that, but if they could, I would love that so much, because then it just takes the pressure off. Like, you can have, if your profession's level with buildings, you can have, like, one out that's, like, your hardcore raid tune, and then you can just be, like, bimbling around with professions with the other ones. Like, I would really like that if they were able to make them account-wide, but, I'm pretty sure they said at BlizzCon that they couldn't.
Yeah, right. And I think that for you and I, Liv, it's going to be a little bit tough, because I think we're going to have like lots of garrisons with like level 1 buildings on them, like lots, but we'll have lots of them, just we'll have tracts of land with just these level 1 buildings.
We'll own the entire of Draenor with our garrisons.
Right, exactly.
All of it. Like it's just going to be carpeted in our garrisons.
But it's only gonna be level 1 stuff. It's just really level 1 buildings. And then that's it.
It's going to be like all my farms, which have 1 plot unlocked.
That's right.
Every farm I have, which has 1 plot.
That's right.
I'm so
we also got new screenshots. New screenshots of Talador.
Yep.
Purple and glowy. Purple, pretty and glowy.
It's cool.
This one, no.
Less purple and less glowy, I'm feeling.
Yes.
And
yeah, exactly. Like the Talador one was so pretty, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's so pretty."
And this one is just bleak.
Right.
So bleak. Like, because I guess like the Talador one is like the sort of like it felt very Drene to me. Did you get that vibe from it as well, Pat? Like it feels super Drene.
Right.
And like the Talador one is the Gorg Run one feels really like Iron Horde. It's like this is the contrast that we're seeing here.
Now, isn't Gorg Run, doesn't that turn into Blade's Edge, I guess, or something along those lines?
Does it?
Isn't that,
I'm not honestly, sure. Man, I don't know.
I haven't looked at the map or anything like that. This is just it looks kind of
Blade's
like
Edge, the one that's covered in thorns and spikes?
Yeah, but it's not blown up yet. I don't know how it works. No,
I don't either. Maybe had a lawnmower or something.
I have no idea how this stuff works.
I think the Gorg Run one is really like, wow, this is kind of depressing and bleak and dark.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of where they're going with the whole Iron Horde thing. It's like you don't want this to become Azeroth. Like it looks very it looks like a Dickensian hellhole or something.
With just like green pools of poison along the banks there.
Exactly.
Just it's definitely not a nice place.
No.
Confirmation from the chat room that it does become Blade's Edge. So,
yay. Good job, chat room. Thanks for that. Like a minute later, sorry for ignoring you.
That's why we have the chat room here. Just wish it was in more time. So but there you go.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, cool of Alex Afrosiabi to actually tweet those out though. It's like it's really nice to get a glimpse of the creative process and just see what they're working on. Like it looks really cool. Like that one, I love Talador. It looks awesome.
No, it looks great. It looks awesome. All really good stuff. Next up, lead encounter designer, Mr. Hazakalstis, Ion.
Ion.
He's been tweeting a bunch. Isn't he one of the new dude? Isn't he one of the new to the tweet to the Twitter?
Honestly, like everyone who works at Blizzard is on Twitter.
To the Twitter.
Yeah, he's new to the Twitter. No, but he was the relatively new one to the Twitter, and he's all over it now. He's tweeting a ton of stuff.
He is.
Dude,
it's all over.
He cannot control himself when it comes to words. He likes them a lot, and he uses them often. So, if you are not following him on Twitter, you probably should. It is at WatcherDev, all one word. Check him out because
he couldn't get Hazakostas. I'm sure somebody.
it was too long to fit in the actual name. Like the Hazakostas is too long. But no, there's a ton of people like Alex Afrosiabi who we just were seeing some screenshots from. He's at Abrosiabi, which is ABROSIABI. So check him out there. And Tom Chilton, who's only the game director, joined Twitter to like his account's been active, but he tweeted for the first time today. So he is up and running on the Twitters. I think he is the Kaplan.
So do you think they had to go to like Twitter class? Do you think they had to go to Twitter class?
Probably.
Right.
Kaplan?
How to tweet. How to not rage.
They had
How
they
to
had a
not
meeting,
rage at 3 a.m. on Twitter.
right?
Yeah.
They had
Oh, sorry,
they
no,
had a
he's the
meeting with their PR department, and it was all about Twitter. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I just to correct myself there. I said Tom's thing wrong. It's not Catlan. It's Calgan. The
Calgan,
Kalgan. There we go.
Everybody,
check the Twitters.
go tweet
Go
bomb
follow
him.
him.
Yeah,
Start
follow
following
him. Follow him.
So
That's cool.
first up, Ion, I talked about how they really want to make as many raids non-linear as possible. That's what they're going for.
Right.
So, did we talk about this with Trekkie like a long time ago?
Yeah.
He was not a fan of this, correct?
Well, you know, the problem with when you're talking about like top tier raiders, right? When you're talking about these guys that are on the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of raiding, right? They like a straight approach. They like the straightforward thing. Okay, we kill this guy, we kill this guy, we kill this guy. That's what
Because
they
they're
like to do. They don't-
methodically working through it and know they want to come
Well,
back.
and it makes
and
it easier
tweak.
for them to watch the race. It makes them easier to say, right. Method has killed, Method has killed Paragons of the Claxi, whereas Blood Legion hasn't. Method has killed Dark Animus, whereas Blood Legion, like it's a straight line, and it's really easy to position yourself along a straight line. But if you're talking about, say, I know, Firelands, like, so Method has killed Shanox and Elisrazor, but Blood Legion has killed Shanox and I think
Balrog.
Thank you. And like,
There we
who's
go.
ahead? Who's ahead? Like that's two for each of them. But was one of those harder than the other? Like it's really hard to measure in that way. Who's
But
ahead in the race.
players love this kind of stuff, though.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
If you're not in
that top tier raider, this is good stuff.
Yeah, if you're not in the race, this is awesome. It just means a lot more choice, right? So you can, if you're getting stuck on one boss, you can go to another one and be totally cool with it. And it's that kind of non-linearity that I think that has been kind of missed in Mists of Pandaria.
Sure.
And it's something that I am looking forward to see come back, because I think that's going to be a lot of fun for most of the players, not Trekkie.
Yeah, not for Trekkie. Not for Trekkie. If Trekkie's in chat, we're sorry, man. But like, yeah, it's just exactly what Pat says. Like, and it also makes it way easier for them to get the difficulty scaling right. Like, if we think about back to like particularly Throne of Thunder is one where this came up a lot, where you have, I think, like particularly for the 10-man guilds, like Horadon was just like a what after the first guy, Storm thingy, Jinrock. And after Jinrock, like Horadon was just a huge step up, particularly for 10-man guilds, because you had fewer dispels. Like you had all those different gates with the dispels, and they ended up nerfing that to pull that one down, and then they ended up nerfing Council. But then, like for 10-man guilds, the twins were like, if you got Iron Con, the twins were just like done. And like it just they had to have that non-linearity. Just makes these roadblocks which they have to pull down to make them passable for particularly the 10-man guilds. It seems at the minute, it makes it just much less of a thing. Like it makes it way easier for them to do that scaling.
Right. Well, and remember, for Warlords, we don't have to worry about that. At least for the race, they don't. Have to worry
exactly.
About that
That's 20
because
now.
we're going to have Mythic, so we won't have to worry about that this time around.
So if you're not Trekkie,
also
2 thumbs up. If you're Trekkie, 2 thumbs down. Remember back at BlizzCon, we got to see BlackRock Foundry's map here.
Yeah, it looks like a faster than light ship. Does it look like a faster than light ship to anyone else?
That is exactly what it looks like. When I opened up this picture, like I didn't when you sent me this with the show notes, when I opened it up, I didn't see them at the bottom at first, and I swear to God, I was like, why is Olivia sending me a faster than light pic? Like,
what is she doing? She finally lost her mind. This is faster.
That's actually the diagram for the Millennium Falcon, I think. Pretty sure.
You're really good at faster than light, Pat.
Blizzard loves FTL. How do you guys think this is going to work for LFR?
It's going to be I think it's going to have to be in Wings again. Like, it's going to be like, if we're looking at this one, I feel like that circular room that you see top center is where you're shooting for, because the other 3 bits all seem to lead into there. And this is very like an ICC kind of feel to it. So they're just going to have to do it in Wings. But then, like, if you look at the right-hand side one, we've got it goes like there's a split there where it looks like you can do either side.
Right.
And I mean, LFR worked in Dragon Soul, where you had to pick between Bouncy Ball Boss and Skittles Boss, Yorsaj and Zonoz. So people will just have to make decisions, and like, I don't know, has LFR changed so much and become so terrible that we can't agree on one side or another anymore?
That's usually pretty good. That's usually not the reason why people are getting kicked from LFR or leaving LFR. It has a lot more to do with just kind of wiping and stuff like that. I don't want to get into an LFR debate though, but yeah, I don't think that it's going to be too difficult to choose.
No, I think it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be fine. And they're going to do it in wings. Like, it's going to be done. Like, we've seen the 3 wings there. They're going to be doing LFRs in wings.
So you guys don't think the non-linear style is going to be a problem at all?
Don't think so. Like, I'm trying to think about problems of the non-linear style, and none really occur to me. It's all just good, in my opinion. It gives you variety. It gives you options if you're messing up repeatedly on a boss.
It'll be fun though, because like the first couple of weeks of any new raid or whatever, especially in things like LFR, you get mass confusion about where people are actually going. So it's always kind of funny. It's never really like, oh my god, I can't believe you went there first. No, it's not that at all. It's just kind of like, where are we? I don't know.
Like the runbacks. Can you imagine how bad the runbacks are going to be? The corpse runs in that place.
Oh, jeez.
You lose half the instance.
Ian also talked about reducing like visual clutter in the game in here. I mean, I think it's something a lot of players have been asking for in PvP, but also in PvE, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's a huge, like, watching. I was watching a stream recently of like a heroic 25-man Garrosh kill, and like the amount, like, these guys can't see their characters at all. They're just in this ball of light and legendary cloak procs somewhere near the boss's ass. Like, it's insane. Like, I took a warrior. I've got a warrior up at 90, which I was like, it's fully PvP geared, so it does naff all DPS in PvE. But I took it to a flex raid, and I'm just like, I'm in here somewhere. I'm in this bundle of people pushing my slam button.
I'm in this rainbow somewhere. Ass of a boss somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in this sort of zone.
Well, you know, it's really difficult because Blizzard had the great idea to make all these different spells, and then with all these different spells, have all these different great effects go off. I don't think they were necessarily thinking about, when 10, 25, or 40 people got together and what that would look like, especially
it's a Christmas party. Everybody's sparkling.
Especially after like 8 years, 9 years of this stuff. So,
Yeah.
And they couldn't just stop making effects. They couldn't do that.
No.
There's actually
You want to feel cool.
Exactly. It was something that came up at the PvP Summit, actually, and we were really lucky at the PvP Summit because they actually went and grabbed in one of the artists, and we were chatting with this lady. It kills me that I can't remember her name, but she was like saying how they're trying to do things like make the really important stuff bigger and the trivial stuff smaller.
Let's see your Photoshop. See all these layers? Delete those layers.
Get rid of all this stuff. It's just get rid of it. Let's just drop it. And it's just like for PvP particularly, there's so much stuff that is really important but has very muted animations. And there's a bunch of stuff that is not very important and has big, giant, ridiculous animations. And like the opposite ought to be true. And that's kind of what they're working to do. So maybe like the big cooldowns and all of this is like they're just squishing everything. They're squishing spells, they're squishing CC, they're squishing lighting, they're squishing visual effects. And it's going to be so. My poor laptop and its processor is going to love this.
This is going to be kind of the expansion for minimization, I think. So look to a cleaner, view. Look to a cleaner spell book. Look to a cleaner everything. I think that everything is going to be. They're going to really try to weed this stuff out, and I'm kind of hopeful.
Yeah,
actually.
Me too.
You're gonna get one spell effect, like lightning. That's it. That's it. Everybody gets lightning and a club.
Yeah,
a club and some lightning. You're done.
But it's like it'll be so much better than now. Like it was in Evil Tuner in chat says 5 priests casting Cascade at once is lag hell, and it's so true. Like you walk into Garrosh and like when you got all that swirly crap going on, you got all these spell effects and everyone's legendary cloaks proccing, not mine because I don't have it. And it's just like my computer's just gone. I could give you 3 frames right now, maybe 3.
Maybe
2 frames.
And then Liv, step into an encounter like Elegon, right? With all those different spell effects, and then the Elegon effects happen at the same time.
Exactly, it's insane. It's just like my poor computers.
Your computer stops. And
everybody's got a
fire. I'm
supercomputer with
on
like
it.
quad titans in it, just to play WoW, a 10-year-old game.
Right.
All right, We got some updates on challenge modes and proving grounds, but first I want to tell you about Audible. If you guys have not checked out Audible, I don't know what you're waiting for. You need to go check it out right now. I want to hook you up with a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. You know what everyone is excited about, because it's coming. That's right, winter is coming. It's getting so close. Game of Thrones Season 4 on HBO is getting so close. Everybody's got to catch up. Catch up! The books are on Audible. Book 1 is 33 hours and 50 minutes.
By the time you've read it, like the rest of your natural life will be spent reading Game of Thrones.
And we're going to start listening to all 33 hours.
Would have known they would drag him into the quarrel sooner or later. He wished it had been later rather than sooner. My mother told me that dead men sing no songs, he put in. My wet nurse said the same thing, Will, Royce replied. Never believe anything you hear at a woman's tit. There are things to be learned even from the dead. His voice echoed, too loud in the twilight forest. We have a long ride before us, Garrett pointed out. 8 days, maybe 9, and night is falling.
I love when they do the character voices. I love the books when the narrators just get into doing different characters and stuff. It's great.
About this time. Are you unmanned?
There's a bunch of them. I mean, almost all. I think almost all. Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4. Winter is coming, which is a bunch of symbols and stuff. Swords on Book 5. Man, what book are they on? What book are we waiting for? I don't even know.
We're always waiting for another book. I have no idea.
There's always, but there.
Not against the trains at all. I've got no idea.
Here's your chance to start. I think April 6th is the season premiere of Game of Thrones on HBO. So mark that on your calendars and get ready. I'm still trying to put together a Game of Thrones show here on Game Breaker. I'm really serious about this. I kind of want to do it. I think it'd be great. I guess I should catch up and start listening to these books because I have not. I don't want to spoil it though. Check it out. 33 hours, 50 minutes on Book 1. Book 2 is 37 hours. These are just epic books. George R. R. Martin, one of these books could be yours for free, along with your free 30-day trial. All you have to do is go over to audible.com/gamebreaker, sign up, make an account. They have apps for iOS, Android, Kindle Fire, all the different devices you may have, and anything you want to listen to it on. It's there. I love it. I've been a fan of Audible for years. I've had a subscription for years, long before they were sponsors here at the show. So I'm super happy to have them on as a sponsor. Check it out. Go over today. I know once you try it, you're gonna love it. Audible.com/gamebreaker. All right, so let's talk about some. So there's been some updates on challenge modes, some proving ground stuff. There's a blog today, Thursday, about what's happening to Mist's challenge modes. I saw this come across Twitter as well. What Blizzard is saying is that the Mist season is ending. So there won't be any available after the Warlords pre-patch. They're going to be new ones, but the old ones will end, and this means you won't be able to get any of the rewards, the titles, achievements, mounts, anything. Goodbye, gone. So, but Proving Grounds will be updated for Warlords. So the blog said that redoing challenge mode scaling was really super in depth, and that was why we're being closed off from this stuff. But Proving Ground scaling is the same is the same down to 463, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So why are they treating them differently then?
Good question.
Well, here's what was said. And I'm reading this off of the post itself. With the class changes, itemization changes, like the removal of hit and expertise, and of course, increased level cap on the horizon, the difficulty of Mists of Pandaria's dungeons will no longer be tuned the same that they were. In other words, with all the changes that are coming up, the tuning of the challenge modes is going to be different, and it's something that they don't want to spend time necessarily revamping for all of the changes. And I think that that's probably one of the major factors on why they decided to call this a season.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think it's interesting how they're doing it for one and not the other. And I that's to me is the interesting question that like Gary raised. Like, because the Proving Ground scaling is exactly the same. Takes all your stuff, pulls it down to 463. So I can only imagine that the difference there is that the challenge mode content is meant to be really high-end, difficult content for high-end players. So then the tuning is way tighter to get it at that high end, but still possible.
Sure.
Whereas maybe the Proving Ground content is less sort of tightly tuned. And also, I guess with the Proving Grounds, you're like a solo player in a group that's been made for you. So maybe those are easier to retune.
Well, and I think you're right. I mean, I think what it really is it comes down to group play versus individual play, and that's kind of the major factor there, because it's easier to tune yourself, I think, to be able to play something solo, whereas tuning an entire group, man, that's going to be a ton of work. And plus, you're talking about itemization switches, and I mean, you're basically taking yourself down to, what is it for the group stuff? Is it 496? Is that what they're taking him down to? I can't remember.
For Warlords, I don't know.
No, for now, for Mists.
In Proving Grounds?
In Proving Grounds it's 463, but I think in challenge modes it's something
463.
else. Is it? Okay.
It's 463 across the board, yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's so tough. I mean, especially if you're going to be losing hit and losing all this other stuff and going into more of a dynamic way that they're doing secondary stats and all this kind of stuff. It's going to be a very different experience. And they must have tested it out and it just didn't play well.
Yeah, so maybe it was just like, it's just too hard. Like, it's literally just that additional complication of high-end content in a group, and it's just too hard. But yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of sad to see the challenge modes, particularly like because none of it's account-wide.
Right.
So it's just like they're not going to be able to go back and get that awesome transmog set on their Warlock, or they're not going to be able to go back on their Shaman and have trees growing out of their shoulders or something like that. But them's the breaks. You got to at least. Well, if you listen to Mike Schaffner, you've got until nearly Christmas to get this stuff done. So
plenty of time.
Don't worry about it.
Now somebody
they said I think what this really spells out though is because they said that it's closing, and we know that 5.4.7 is on is kind of lurking behind the scenes. End of PvP season, end of all this other stuff. That means that a lot of new stuff is coming. So that's something to get totally psyched about. I mean, come on. Don't look at the bad stuff. Look at the good stuff that's on its way.
Somebody by the name of Olivia D. Grace asked Watcher Dev.
Who's that again?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Some chick. I don't know.
Sure, some chick on the internet. No, but Ian had a pretty interesting answer for you. So he said on Twitter that they're looking at challenge modes as being like PvE arenas.
Yeah, it's like that really was like, wow. Like, because I tweeted him asking about Proving Grounds, as you can see from this, and I was sort of thinking that he'd let me know, and he did. And then he said this thing about challenge mode is PvE that's analogous or whatever to arena seasons. And I was like, that is interesting. And I suppose like I can see parallels there, like it's character specific again. Like you don't get the gladiator title account wide. It's now time limited. It's high end play, and obviously like you get a ton more people who've got gold challenge modes than who have gladiator and the mounts and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's high end group content that's specific to PvE. I don't know. It's like I was interested to see what you thought on this one, Pat.
Well, the problem with it is that they didn't approach it that way in the first place. You know what I mean? They didn't say that this was going to be a season, and I think that that's kind of what people are taken aback by. That and the loss of this transmog gear, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool, but it's still just like one little thing, right? So if we would have known that it was supposed to be played in a season, maybe that would have motivated more people to try it right away and to keep trying it. So.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've seen a bunch of comments, like we posted this up today. I've seen a bunch of comments from people saying, "Oh, if only I'd known, I'd have put more time into this." And obviously, like I don't think anyone's under any illusions that the pre-patch of Warlords is going to be coming like next month or anything like that. But as Pat says, it's going to be coming like it's getting ever sooner. 547, like we're kind of, although it's not been confirmed or anything like that, we're presuming it's going to come around like next week or the week after because of the PvP season end warning. Like we don't know if that's been pushed or whether that like they said as early as 2 weeks, so that's not a 100% confirmation. But yeah, it's like it could be coming really soon. So I think people are kind of freaking out that they feel like they've got this real limited amount of time, and yet they've been sitting there with these challenge modes available since September 2012. It's like, oh, if only you told us sooner, Blizzard, we would have had much more
It's been only 9 months. I can't seriously concentrate on this stuff now.
Can't take you seriously.
I can't do that the first 6 months of the game. It takes me a while to warm up to it. Come on.
Exactly.
What do you guys think this means for Proving Grounds and Warlords?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, this is something I was thinking about, and like, I wonder whether, like, he was very quick to respond to my tweet, and like, it was literally within seconds. And I kind of think, I wonder whether they're going to be like a bigger deal in Warlords. Like, because you think about it, and I kind of like conspiracy theory, but you've got the free 90s. Like, you've got the free 90s. You're going to have a bunch of people who don't really know how to play a class or a role. And like, obviously, there's going to be people out there who are bumping a class that they have already or they know already for whatever reason. There's also going to be a bunch of people who don't know how to play a class or don't know how to play a role or have rolled another paladin because they want a healer or something like that. And maybe they can actually take Proving Grounds, which have been cool. Don't get me wrong, they've been cool. But they've not really, like, they were originally marketed as a tutorial. And you know, they haven't, to me, they aren't that. Like, they're practice, but they're not a tutorial because they don't teach you anything. Like, apart from, like, this person saying occasionally, oh, you need to dispel that debuff. It's like, well, shut up, Panda. There are 2 of them, and I don't have 2 dispels because the 8-second cooldown. And it's like, it's not that help. Like, I sort of took myself a monk, Mistweaver Monk, which is a class I don't play, and I still don't, went into a Proving Ground to see whether I was able to, like, teach myself how to play it. And all I was still doing was going into, like, guides, going over to Icy Veins, going over to Noxit, going to places like that to try and find out how to play my class. There's no actual teaching that takes place in there. So maybe a bunch of that, or maybe that thing that Ghostcrawler tweeted about a while ago of using them as a way to get into looking for group like LFD or LFR with a lower item level.
Well, and I don't think we'll see that. I don't think we'll see LFR being gated by Proving Grounds or anything like that. Especially
LFD? LFD though?
LFD. No. I don't think that any of the looking for stuff, any of the stuff where they put you with groups of people, I don't think that they'll put that put a gate on it. Just because I mean, LFR, if everything goes to plan of what they said at BlizzCon, remember it's going to be going to tourist mode. So if that is the case, why would you want to gate it with something from Proving Grounds? No, this is not a Proving Grounds type of situation. And I think that dungeons are the same way. I don't think you necessarily need that gating. But yes, it could be used for group play, I guess. It kind of is now, where some guilds have said you need to have a Proving Ground of silver or above or gold or whatever. You have to have, 10 endless rounds or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. So which I don't really get, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, and there are some possibilities out there for Proving Grounds for sure, and we'll just see. I do hope that it becomes something more, because right now it was a good intro, but I think we need to build on that.
Yeah, it's a good start. Like, I'd love to see some more zones in it. I'd love to see some different rooms in there and some different, like, art surrounding it, stuff like that. It's a really good start. I think there's a ton more they can do.
Right.
All right, so the other big thing everybody's talking about this week is some posts, I don't know, about some dude. It's got some big hair. Lore, I think is his name. I don't know. Some dude talking about changes to casting while moving.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. I'm going to try and get through this. This is the cut down version.
Yeah, this is the abridged version of Lore's.
Yeah. I don't know if you can read it. I'm going to try and get through all of it.
If you're in 1920, you should be able to read it.
Laura's another one that likes words. Yeah,
he does like words. It's true.
I'll try and get through this for y'all. The Cliff Notes. It says, we like casting on the move, but not as a default. Spirit Walker's Grace is a good example of something we like. Used intelligently, it can be very strong, and it feels good to use. On the other hand, Lightning Bolt, always being castable on the move, we're less excited about. You don't feel smart or skilled for using Lightning Bolt while you're moving. It's just sort of a free bonus that we're not sure is really needed. Things look like Kil'jaeden's Cunning falls somewhere in the middle. The effect is similar to Lightning Bolt in that it's always active and you don't really have to think about it. However, you are efficiently giving up either Archimon's. Is that right? Archimon's Darkness. Or, why am I reading all of this? And Manaroth Fury.
Manaroth Fury.
Right.
He basically then goes out and uses a trade-off somewhere between we're discussing, but we have seen a lot more Warlocks giving up KJC for something else since patch 5.4. It's also important to note that the ability to use a cast time spell while moving is only part of the issue. In fact, while there's a couple of classes that can do it, almost everyone has some number of instant cast spells they can use while moving. To really start shoring up the differences here, we need to reduce the number of instant cast spells as well. That includes healers. All right, so read that offline. Take that all in.
Right.
Try and link it in the post.
That's still pretty long, but So what? Break this down for me. What exactly are people complaining about here?
Well, surprise, surprise, nobody likes getting nerfed. I know this is going to be mind-blowing information for my co-hosts and for all of the viewers here at Legendary, that nobody particularly enjoys having their toys taken away from them.
What?
So I know it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. And so basically, people are saying, "Oh, well, isn't there other stuff you should be making us feel more awesome with every patch, not less?" And it's just like, that is exactly how we got into this mess to begin with. Was making everyone feel more awesome every time, and everyone getting more and more and more and more and more and more stuff, until we're at this point now where we actually, the Blizzard is saying, no, we just have to start taking stuff away. And one of the sort of the things is just like, well, casting while moving, and then all of the people who have now been accustomed to one expansion's worth of casting while moving. Okay, mages had Scorch, but like for most people, it's newer stuff. They're all now going, no, it's impossible to play an elemental shaman if you can't cast lightning bolt whilst you're moving. No, it's impossible to be a warlock. You can't even roll that class if they take away Kill Jaden's Cunning. Like, so yeah, nobody likes being nerfed. That's kind of the long and short of the complaints.
Right.
Pat, you play a Resto Druid. I learned today at WoW Insider, so maybe you have some pull on this.
If they take away instant cast spells from druids, from resto druids, there will be nothing left. That's the only problem.
Actually, you'll have like, what is it, regrowth? That's what instant, is it?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a cast time, and there's like healing touch and stuff. But you know, the bread and butter of the druid healing kit, I guess, is instant cast spells. It's all about, you know, wild growth and about these, you know, rejuves and all that kind of stuff. So druids, I hope that they don't hit them too bad. I can understand a couple, you know, things here and there, but I think there's a couple of classes that have kind of defined what casting on the move is all about, and druids are one of them. I think that another class that was mentioned on the forums was hunters.
Yes.
And everybody got mad about hunters.
I got mad about hunters. I'm still mad.
Because what's happening with the hunters? What did they say about the hunters?
Well, I know. It was kind of like, I was interested to know. I guess the reason why Law used Elemental Shaman was because they have, like, they're a good example. I mean, not Elemental either, Resto as well. But like, they have the two examples of the different types of ability. The one they like being Spirit Walker's Grace, which, if you're not aware of it, is a relatively long cooldown ability. I believe it's 2 minutes. I should know this.
I think it's 2, yeah.
Yeah, 2. And then you can cast that. You can cast while moving for a short time. It's possible to glyph it to make it longer. Obviously, you're giving up a glyph slot to do that. And they also have more recently added in like 5.2, I believe, thrown lightning bolt cast while moving as baseline, because they pulled out the glyph that made Elemental do that. And like, I think it's a really good example because Spirit Walker's Grace works well. Spirit Walker's Grace, you have to really think about when you use that. Like, you can't just like spam it like wrongly. Like, particularly, I remember Heroic Zonos, Healing Heroic Zonos. If you use your Spirit Walker's Grace at the wrong time, and game over, enjoy. But like, Lightning Bolt, Castle while moving, as a Resto Shaman, you take that. Like, I was like, why do I even have this? I accidentally moved. Like, I was trying to cancel cast my Lightning Bolt, so I moved and it didn't cancel. It's like, what even is this? They gave this to Resto?
Right.
Why? We don't need this stuff. It's like, I don't know. So I think people were getting excited about Shaman, whereas actually Shaman are far from the worst offenders and far from the people who are going to be, I'm hoping to see nerf. I did really feel, and again, I know you play a hunter, so it feels like I'm victimizing you. I feel like hunters have way too much ability. I feel like hunters being able to execute their entire rotation on the move is way too easy in my opinion.
Yeah, no, It's true, but I think that there's a trade-off that can be had there. And I've played Resto Shaman and Elemental back in Wrath, and so I played that for a little while back then, along with my hunter. And I tell you, man, there have been so many different iterations of gameplay for all of these different classes. It's kind of amazing. And as long as they make it worthwhile, and as long as they're making this the expansion of minimization, the non-expansion, should we call it that? Because they're not actually expanding anything.
The contraction. Let's call it the contraction.
The next contraction? That sounds weird. That sounds strange. That sounds strange. But since they're kind of, contracting everything, it seems to make sense that they would take a look at everything and say, okay, let's get back to basics here.
It's probably smart that they do this all at once, right? Like, just get it over with. Like, that's everything is getting squished. Like,
rip off the Band-Aid.
We're at that point. They always said that point was going to come. They kept warning everybody. They kept saying for, like, expansion after expansion, going, like, we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. Now we're getting there. So it's going to hurt a little bit. It's going to sting.
Well, and when they announced Mists, I mean, I think it was Ghostcrawler that said something along the lines of, you know what, this is the last expansion we can do this because the numbers are just going to get out of control. And they're out of control. So
like they literally said at Gamescom, like if we can't do it, like we have to either have an item squish and this was Tom Chilton and Corey Stockton at Gamescom, like we either have to have an item squish or rewrite the entire combat code of World of Warcraft. And guess which they were saying there that Garrosh, the reason why you have to kill him like however many times, 6 to 5, I don't know, lots of times, is because they tried to give him a health pool that was like you just killed him once. And the game just went, nah, we don't have enough zeros. I'm sorry, like we don't have enough numbers. Like this is no, you can't have an enter. You can't have a word wrap in there. It's not going to work. So like that was the point they got to. This is like it's got to stop. It's 10 years of escalation. It's got to stop, guys.
But going back to this problem, like isn't this how ranged and melee work? I mean, ranged get to move, switch targets, hit things more easily, but they can't really move as well.
Exactly. Like that's always been the thing in the past. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Pat, but like movement heavy fights bring melee because they have a harder time because they have to actually be near the boss to hit it because that's how this works, like, and then in movement heavy fights it's good. In more stationary fights then you bring ranged, and like there's at the moment it seems like everyone just wants range. Like range is the best choice in every situation because range can switch more easily, range have an easier time actually hitting stuff, and also a lot of range can now move around pretty freely, so like you've lost that penalty for being a ranged class of having limited movement.
Yeah, and because they can attack on the move, they don't take as much damage, so therefore they're going to be less of a weight on their healers, and maybe you can even bring less healers so you can bring more DPS. That's one of the things that we found in Mists of Pandaria as well, is that instead of, like a 10-man raid, and it's the same for 25, different numbers, but for a 10-man raid, it had always been 2 tanks, 3 healers, rest DPS. That was kind of the standard, right? And maybe you'd have one guy that was switching between DPS and heals, maybe, but most likely it was going to be 3 heals. Now it's 2 healers, rest DPS. Well, 2 healers, 2 tanks, rest DPS. So that's what we're seeing, especially in Siege of Orgrimmar. And part of that is because these casters can move so well and still pump out incredible DPS. I mean, it's just insane. So.
Yeah,
exactly. And no matter what, I think people are still going to be like, why can't they just fix this by buffing melee instead of nerfing casters?
They did this already. They gave melee a 20% buff already.
Exactly.
And still melee can't keep.
And they tried to make encounters that were more melee friendly as well, didn't they? They were like, we're going to make all this stuff more melee friendly. It's not working. And also, like, then, I mean, I know, like, every person who PvEs is going to, like, explode with QQ at my saying this. But let's just think about PvP for a second, because there is this whole other aspect of the game that totally does exist. Like, if they make melee DPS any stronger, it's just going to be like warriors are just going to walk up to you and go, and you're going to die. And it's like, melee is, like, hitting really super hard because of these problems they've had to create because of how ranged move. And it's like, it's just this sort of cause-effect issue. And it's an arms race, and the answer is not, like, the Cold War. The answer is not to give everyone more nukes. Like, this is what happened in the 80s and the 90s. Learn, and they're just going to have to pull it all back. Like, you can't buff melee anymore, or it'll just be insane. If they can touch you, they'll kill you, and that's an issue.
I assume there's a lot of other changes going on as well. These can't be the only thing that It's got to be a lot of other stuff that's going on with all of this.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people are sort of reading Law's posts and assuming that this stuff is happening in a vacuum and just being like, well, oh my god, they're going to take away, like Pat's like, oh my god, they're going to take away all my instant heals, so I can't be a very mobile druid anymore. But like, it's okay. Everyone else is going to lose their stuff as well. Like instant heals are going to go, so then blanket silencers can be pulled down, so you're going to have fewer blanket silencers, and then then they can just like, there's a lot of stuff that they can rework to make this all work. It's not happening in isolation, and like it's not just ranged who are going to be having things change for them.
And it's not like the encounter guys. It's not like Ian Hazakostas or Ion, either way, is Ion. It's not like he's going to be.
Ion is way more sci-fi. It's so cool.
Right. It is. He needs like a shirt with like laser lights on it, or so. I don't know what it is, but he needs something cool, or like a little,
Ion.
doohickus.
Some wings.
He's kind of like a robot. So he's Ion. I am Ion. I gotta answer you.
Ian, we're really very, very sorry.
We love you, Ian. You're awesome.
One of the things.
Sorry about how Gary calls you Ion.
But he's not going to be working in a bubble, so I mean, he's going to be able to. He and his team are going to be able to work these encounters to make sure that they take into account all of the changes that are coming up with all the classes. That's why we've seen a lot of movement-heavy fights, is because guess what? Casters are available to move around, and so we can do that more. But now maybe it's time to pull it back a little bit and say, okay, well, let's do more, more kind of turrety fights or something like that for ranged, or find
maybe you just have to stop casting when you move.
That's true. That happened before.
Maybe like when we go back to Cataclysm, where you actually had to stop doing stuff, move a little bit, and start doing some stuff again. And that was your trade-off for being ranged versus being melee. And maybe it'll make you move a little bit more intelligently, and it'll be a little bit more gameplay to moving, and you'll move in GCDs, and you'll do this sort of stuff. Or like particularly with dot snapshotting going away, you'll be able to refresh dots on the move, and you'll be looking at that and thinking, right, now this is what I can do here. And there's actually going to make the game a little bit more interesting to play, rather than a thing.
Who else do you think is going to get hit by this, though? Because in the post he talks a lot about Shaman. I was almost going to say Shaman, but I corrected myself and said Shaman.
Yep.
But I think just everybody understands, to wrap this up, like, what other classes do you guys think they're going to be on the radar for mobility nerfs?
Hunters, for sure. Like, I will go to Blizzard HQ and flip all their tables if Hunters don't get at least something. No.
I think that they will still continue to, from the post.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're okay with Hunters being able to shoot on the move, but my guess is that we'll see something to do with cast times or something like that to kind of make up for
exactly.
the difference.
Like maybe they do really trivial damage while they're moving, but they actually, like, remember when it was like Fox Hawk, like the Fox Hawk switchover that you had before, where you were like, all right, I'm doing trivial damage, all right, I need to burst now, so Hawk, and like pow. And that was cool. Like, that was thinking. That was like intelligent stuff. So you would be thinking, right, I really need to position myself well for that burst phase, because I'm going to have to switch aspects. I won't be able to do stuff while moving. Like, that would be cool. Warlocks, I definitely feel like Warlocks are probably going to see some changes. I feel like anything that, like, of the casters, mages maybe will see some change to things like, what is that talent that allows you to briefly cast while moving? Maybe they'll like do something to that. I feel like Scorch might be suffering a little bit. I don't know. Scorch has been in for a while. Like, Scorch was the first cast while moving spell, so maybe that won't go away. I definitely feel like Shadow Priests are kind of at the right point now. And like, there was a tweet from Law which followed the forum post where he's like, well, yeah, like, it's not, what we're actually going to do is we're not going to buff people up. We're going to bring everyone down to the lower level. Like, everyone's going to be pulled back to the level of, say, Shadow Priest or Elemental Shaman without lightning bolts.
Right. Like, well, and I think that there needs to be something done with healers. I mean, they talked about healers,
for sure,
and I think that the classes other than druids. I mean, and this is not because I play a druid.
Oh yeah,
this has nothing to do with it. But I think that they have become really, really mobile, and some of it just doesn't seem right to me. And like, paladins have always been kind of those ones that should just be hard casting a lot of stuff instead of doing a lot of instants.
Yeah.
Shaman maybe have a couple of little hots or something like that, but for the most part they're standing and casting as well.
Yeah.
And monks are the ones that get away with it because, you know, they can do a lot of different stuff. But I think that you got to take a look at especially those classes that have been around since vanilla and make sure that it fits with the profile of the class. Yeah,
exactly. I think healers are a really good point. I feel like priests have been a bit of a candidate for some nerfing with, like particularly Holy has a ton of instant cast spells. I think that everyone's been so focused on discs dominance throughout the expansion that like Holy's going to slip through the net and is now super strong in PvP because of the 4-set bonus changes to chakras. And it's just like they have a ton of instants and like
disc
they
is
could
broken.
Disc is still, I don't know, like I don't do enough PvP, like I'm just doing PvP at the moment. I do the occasional flex, but
disc is broken.
Is it still broken?
The problem with disc is that it breaks everybody else.
Right. Yeah, disc is a pig to heal with. I remember that from earlier in the expansion, playing my shaman with a disc priest in 10 man. And it's just, you know, all of the healers instant cast need to be wound back, and this is what they were talking about, something they may be doing mid-expansion. Then we will make actually interrupting things again, so you won't have to cast them for a blanket silence. Like, this is going to, of all the things that's happening in Warlords of Draenor, this is the thing I'm most excited about. This squish. This is the thing.
Yeah.
This is me, like, I'm like, yes, come on, this is going to fix it.
And I think a lot of people are with you. I really do.
Bring on the squish. Pat Crane, follow me on Twitter, Pat Crane. Go over to convertraid.com and, of course, watch the Convert to Raid show live right here on twitch.tv/GameBreaker.tv Sunday mornings at 9 Pacific.
Yes.
Or if you can't get up that early, like myself, you can watch it on Gamebreaker or Convert to Raid, usually the following day. It's up by midday Monday, so definitely go check that out. Olivia D. Grace, follow her on Twitter at Olivia D. Grace, where she is always tweeting at Ion and other Blizzard employees.
Stalking Blizzard employees on Twitter.
And getting answers. She stalks them and gets answers. Follow me on Twitter, Gary Gannon, and follow Gamebreaker TV. Gamebreaker TV, we do the show live on Thursdays at 8 Pacific. And we also do a new show called Gamebreaker right after, live. So come on, show up for that as well on Thursdays. We will see ya next week.